Hey guys, welcome to the channel. This is the first video out of hopefully many that I'll be uploading throughout 2019 regarding pop culture, sci-fi, Star Wars, pretty much anything. Anything I see in development or I see that's worth talking about, then I'm going to upload it. And I've got a few things I want to talk about today. I've been meaning to set up a channel for a long time now, and throughout the whole of last year I was kind of urged to do it, and from a lot of other channels that I saw that developed ever since the whole fiasco about Star Wars. And I think the more people that do this kind of thing, the better, because we all get a voice, and all those voices count, and the louder we are, the better the chance of the fandom for all our favourite franchises is to, moving forward and getting things done, getting things changed, and getting things put back to how they should be. With like whether it's a Star Trek situation, if you're a Star Trek fan, whether it's Ghostbusters, I know that a lot of people hate the 2016 movie, whether it's Doctor Who, and of course Star Wars. A lot of things are going massively wrong with a lot of franchises. Whether these properties are becoming completely woke and full of social justice, or just inept writing and inept development from people that haven't got a clue what they're doing, or all of the above. So this is the first video I'm going to make. No edits, no intro, no outro, no sound equipment, no lighting, nothing. This is just like purely off the bat. So I'm hoping that everything's going to work out, everything's going to come out okay, and it's going to work. So we'll see. But I'm getting a mic at the end of this week. I've got a green screen coming further down the line, lighting, the full works. So we'll see how a few basic videos go first, and see if I can get any support. And get to know a few more people out there as well, and hopefully join the YouTube community, because it's been something I've been wanting to do for quite a while now. I've got a few points that I want to talk about that I noted down that I've been wanting to just get out there for a while, and hopefully get some feedback on from everybody. I thought if I do it in a video, then I can say it to everybody at the same time, hopefully get some comments back, get some people writing back to me on Twitter and stuff, and we can talk about this sort of stuff, and hopefully talk about stuff that you just can't say in one little tweet with a few words in it, But I've got a few things on the list that I want to mention. First one is about, of course, recently, Star Wars Theories Shards of the Past. That whole fiasco with Disney is crazy. I thought the fan movie was amazing for what budget they had. Incredible writing, incredible effects. The effects, my God, they were great. They blew me away. I mean, for such a small budget thing, and for an independent guy essentially on his own, and with a team he built around him to make those effects, man, wow. They're as good as a big budget movie as far as I'm concerned. He did an amazing job with that. I'm blown away. I just wish I could do something like that. But the whole thing about Shards of the Past is incredible, because he set out to make essentially a multi-part movie made up of smaller chunks, and do what he sees Disney / Lucasfilm as not being able to do, and not being able to put out there for whatever reason. He wants a better product, and he's proactively doing it. He's proactively setting about making his own. It's like someone saying to someone moaning about his own property, moaning about his favourite franchise, like, why don't you do it yourself? Why don't you do something yourself? Be productive instead of just tearing something down or moaning about it. So to actually be able to do that, I mean, okay, he had a little bit of capital behind him to do it. Not everyone can do that straight off the bat. But to actually achieve something like that is astounding, and he deserves all the praise possible, and certainly doesn't deserve getting any kind of copyright strike or getting demonetized, or what was it? It was I'm not quite sure what the actual phrase was that happened to him and his channel and his video. It was some kind of copyright, wasn't it? A copyright claim, was it? A claim? It was claimed. It certainly didn't deserve that. So shout out to Star Wars Theory Man. Only been watching your channel over the last year after The Last Jedi, like a lot of channels. I found yours well impressed. Incredible job, and you're inspiring, as a lot of other people are. You're genuinely inspiring. And as I've just found out as well, they've retracted. I think it was Lucasfilm that got in touch with whoever it was at Disney who issued this claim, and they've retracted it. So great news is the fact that we're back to normal. We're back to square one. Still, I mean, I guess you could call it something to celebrate, but we're still at the bottom of the mountain, and we've still got a hell of a long climb ahead of us to try and get Star Wars back to where it should be. And the peak is December this year, and it's going to be a hard fought, tough fight to get to that peak and see if we can achieve what we want to achieve, which is a boycott, because Disney have to be made accountable, and they have to be made to see what they're doing, and the only way they're going to be made to see anything is if they listen. And if they listen, it's going to be because they're not receiving money anymore. So that's something that is going to be a big struggle for all of us, because massive Star Wars fan, always have been since I was 4 years old, and I'm not going to give that up. I don't see why any of us should, if we're massive fans about a property that affected our lives ever since we're little. Why should we relinquish that? Why should we give up and let someone else have it when it's for everybody? It's not just for one demographic. It's not for one small group of people. So anyway, that's shards of the past. Secondly, I've written down Matt Martin, and I think he works for Lucasfilm, or he used to work for Lucasfilm. I'm not sure if he still does, but he's kind of one of these shill guys. A lot of people call him a soy boy, etc. If you want to throw names about, then that's one thing, I guess, that one tightly comes under. But he said something which kind of got my back up earlier on. Was it last week or whenever it was? He said, hardcore fans are only a tiny fraction of the film-going public. Maybe in 2019 we can spend a little more time building up and discussing the things we love rather than tearing down the things we hate. Does that sound familiar to you? Does that sound like something that Rose Tico would have said at the end of The Last Jedi? Yeah, I'm not convinced about that guy's words, to be honest with you. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want peace in the fandom? But we want it for the right reasons. We don't want it because we're all just sitting down and shutting up and eating whatever crap we're served up, I think we'd all rather love something than hate it. But at the moment, Disney Lucasfilm's not giving us any choice. There is only something there to hate. If you love The Last Jedi, then great, I envy you. But I think most of us have a decent amount of quality control and a sense of discerning judgment, and we're not going to love something like that, that's blatantly substandard. It's nowhere near the quality that Star Wars should be. So that's one thing that kind of bugged me earlier on this month. Another thing, I've got to give a shout out to a guy called the Kenner Boy. Okay, now a few of you guys know this guy, and he's wonderful. He's amazing, and I haven't met, or I haven't known of many people in the fandom that's as passionate as him, other than, say, Star Wars Theory, for example, about Star Wars and about original Star Wars. And his Instagram account is incredible. If you go on Instagram and look him up, he is the Kenner Boy, all one word, and he has incredible photographs uploaded pretty much every day, and he's got an incredible photo gallery of classic, vintage 70s and 80s Kenner products and Star Wars toys, and it's exquisite. They're beautiful photos, and these toys are incredible. I mean, not only is it great for nostalgia reasons, but it's great for fans that have never even seen this stuff before, and to see like that's how Star Wars products should be made, not this throwaway garbage that Disney's cranking out that's just, I don't know, bad quality plastic in cheap looking packaging, you know. So yeah, look up the Kenner Boy, tell him I sent you, and if you're watching Kenner Boy, then great channel, keep it up, man, keep it up. I did get for Christmas, I don't know if any of you guys got any decent Star Wars gifts or merchandise for Christmas, but I got one Star Wars thing, which is unlike me. I usually get family members giving me all kinds of Star Wars things, but I think they finally realised how much I'm hating what's coming out of Disney at the moment, since pretty much The Force Awakens. I mean, Rogue One, great, loved Rogue One. Force Awakens, but Rogue One really improved on The Force Awakens, I thought, which made me very excited for The Last Jedi. I thought the potential for The Last Jedi was amazing, you know, especially if the standard was rising with each movie, like say the Marvel movies. Unfortunately, it was a massive drop back down to ground level again, to way below the standards of The Force Awakens. But the one bit of merchandise I got this year was a Star Wars calendar, and it was purposefully just the original trilogy, no prequel stuff, no sequel stuff, not even Rogue One, no Clone Wars or any kind of spin-offs or expanded universe. It was just the original trilogy, and it just made me think there's quite a lot of merchandise out there at the moment that's just purely about the original trilogy, and it's selling. It's really selling a lot, like the original packaged vintage style figures that are out there at the moment, even if they're from The Last Jedi. They look a lot more appealing than a lot of the trash that's out there, and it's just that vintage style classic Star Wars look to everything is so much better than cranked out junk that a lot of us are getting, you know, from shops and merchandise stores and from companies like Kenner and Hasbro and usual merchandise corporations that are putting out all the material from the movies. And this calendar's beautiful. It kind of, I'd show it right now, but it's hanging up, and it's I don't want to get it down. But the photos are kind of shots we've sort of seen before, but they look like they're photo manipulated. It looks like they've gone through Photoshop, and they're beautiful. They're enhanced, and they're kind of given like a nice, cool, let me think, like a watercolor effect, or a watercolor kind of blends on them, and they look fresh and new and great, and it looks like a movie that was just out last year. If you can find this calendar, then get it. It's beautiful. You know, it's still January, so you know you've got a whole year to use it yet. In the next video, I'll try and get the cover of it so you can see what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's a great calendar. If you're looking for a calendar, then that is a really good one. There's not a lot of good Star Wars merchandise out there at the moment, and this is one of the good ones. And I think stuff like that has to be celebrated and mentioned a lot, just to show our support for people to go out there and buy it, just to show the powers that be that that's the stuff we want, not this cheap disposable crap that they're trying to feed us. Something else, number 5 on the list was how Star Wars was critic free and also universally loved for the original trilogy. And I thought, you know, back in the 80s when I was at the height of my Star Wars appreciation, and I was just a little kid and had all my toys and everything, and it was just the greatest thing in the world. It was like the be-all and end-all of everything. You know, it was like my life was lived with a Star Wars filter on my eyes, and it made everything seem great. And sadly, as you get older, you lose that filter, and the franchise isn't there anymore. But there's nothing but controversy surrounding Star Wars, isn't there? I mean, there was during the prequels, and that kind of died off a little bit, and people kind of warmed to them a little bit over time. And I'm personally, I was kind of a bit meh with the prequels. I didn't really care about them that much. I was hoping for something as great and as visceral as the original trilogy, but prequels didn't really give me that. And in another video I'll go on about how I would have improved them, but they are without doubt masterpieces in comparison to what we've been getting with Disney, I think. But it's amazing how the amount of controversy and unrest there is in the fandom and in pop culture in general ever since The Last Jedi, and the crazy amount of rivalry and unrest and like this, I would say cold war, but it's not even a cold war, it's a hot war, if anything, between fans and between enthusiasts on social media. There is due to The Last Jedi, and you could put it down to the fact that we're now living in an age that's heavy in social media, and everyone's able to shout and scream and cry at each other about what stuff they don't agree with and about stuff that they're unhappy about. So there seems like there's a lot more of unrest about things. But you can't ignore the fact that kids aren't as into Star Wars in this day and age as they were back in the 80s and 70s. I mean, you could say, yes, it was a brand new property back then, and it was kind of, it took everyone by surprise and it blew everyone away because no one had seen anything like it before. And by the time the third movie hit, you know, the snowball was rolling, and it was huge by that point. And you could say that kids have kind of seen it all already before they even see Star Wars for the first time these days. But I'm not sure that's accurate, really, because Star Wars is still the greatest thing ever compared to anything and everything that's been released since. Nothing can match it. Nothing. As much as I love a lot of other franchises, nothing can match Star Wars and its universal appeal across ages and across generations. You'd think that'd count for something, and especially with kids as well. And there's nothing out there like Star Wars. And at the moment, I think that it's lost its credibility, it's lost its magic, it's lost its power since Disney took over. You don't see kids running around hitting each other with lightsabers anymore. I don't, anyway. Dressing up as the characters. I mean, I'm not at school, so I can't say what's going on in playgrounds as far as playing Star Wars goes, but it seems to have lost a huge element there as far as children go, and that kind of childish wonder and awe in the franchise. And it's a shame, it's a real shame. And today it seems to be more about controversy and fighting and criticism than anything. And how we never got that with the original trilogy. It was just all about love. It was all about admiration. It was all about escapism, and it was all about fun. And I really do wish it could still be like that. I really do wish that that's how we regarded it still. I really do wish that the negativity wasn't there, and Disney Lucasfilm could see that and try and recapture what we used to have with a franchise like this. Also, that was number 5. Number 6 is, I've got to say, Star Wars Celebration 19, which is going to take place, I'm not sure which month. I think it's like, is it May, June or something like that? I don't know. But that's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting. It's going to be fascinating to watch, and I can't wait for it. Mainly because of the Fandom Menace is going to be there in force, wearing whatever t-shirts that they've concocted and brought up over the last year in protest of what Disney have done and in protest of The Last Jedi. And also the head-to-head on meeting of pro/anti Star Wars / Last Jedi fans in one place, which is going to be the first time that's ever happened since The Last Jedi hit, and the fandom was divided by the chasm right down the middle of it. And it's going to be one incredibly fascinating event. I wish I could go. I haven't got the money to get there, and I think it's sold out now anyway. But it's going to be either war, or it's going to be a very tense situation, and it goes on for like, what, 3 days or something. having the Fandom Menace there, doing events outside of Celebration itself, outside the either it's directly outside the entrance to the event, or whether it's going to be in a hotel room somewhere, or it's going to be in their own a separate private venue, is going to be interesting, because it would be worth going to Chicago just to go to that and see those guys on stage, seeing Geeks and Gamers and Ethan Van Sciver and World Class Bullshitters and John Talks, that Star Wars girl, Jessie Milestone, all on stage together. Wow, that'd be an incredible event on its own to go to. Forget Celebration. So I think fans that can get a ticket to Celebration and also go to something like that, they're in for a real treat. Because Celebration itself could be just Disney Lucasfilm feeding you their PR crap, and kind of trying to satiate the fans and trying to calm the fandom down, and not necessarily giving you the most honest opinion and side of what's going on. And then on the flip side, you've got the Fandom Menace, who could give a great alternative to that at a different venue. But I wish I could go just to see that and experience that. I think it'd be amazing. So I'm jealous of anyone that gets to go and see it. I wish I could join you, but I'm looking forward to following it online. I'm looking forward to watching the videos. I'm looking forward to daily reports. I'm hoping that all you guys, whoever's reading this, whoever's watching this video, get to go and record as much of it as possible and upload as much as possible, live stream as much as possible, because there's a lot of Star Wars fans out there that aren't going to get to go to Celebration. They're going to want to see what's happening, and it's going to be fascinating more than any other Star Wars Celebration before in the history of the event. It's going to be incredible, and I can't wait. And again, I wish I could go, but I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone comes up with for that one. As far as episode 9 goes, it's coming out at the end of the year. I think the only way, whatever title it's going to be, J.J. Abrams' film is going to be successful is if it completely ignores episode 8, because otherwise it's going to be mired by what happened in episode 8. The crap that was dealt with in episode 8, the way it messed up everything, the way it messed up the lore, maybe the way it messed up physics in general, how the universe works, messed up characters, it messed up history, it messed up continuity. So many things were screwed up by that movie, and to make another movie that directly continues from it is going to be disastrous, and no one's going to buy that. No one's going to swallow it, because they're still going to have the taste of crap in their mouth from the previous film. So the only way you can get rid of that taste of crap is by sidestepping it and creating a completely unrelated film that follows on from 7. Completely, avoids 8. So basically, do what Rian Johnson did to episode 7, which is ignore it, sidestep, do his own thing. So J.J. Abrams, I think, and whoever he works with, has got to do the same thing for episode 9. They've got to sidestep episode 8 and just directly continue on from episode 7. That's the only way to do it. Now, there are ways to do that. I've got a very practical idea that I've thought of myself that could work. But whether or not they do anything like that, whether they're clever enough to do anything like that, I don't know. I probably not, to be honest. They're probably just going to do something incredibly dumb and hope people are going to buy it. But fingers crossed. They pull something out of the bag. But like everyone else, absolutely zero confidence in what they're going to do after episode 8. And it is just going to be, the only interest in the movie is going to be like watching a slow motion car crash, which is morbid to say the least. But it looks like that's what's going to happen. So number 8 is people saying that Disney Lucasfilm don't owe the fans anything. Whenever the fans are complaining, the fans are throwing criticism, and they're pulling Disney Lucasfilm up on what they've done, and the makers on what they've done, and how the fans are being treated by Disney Lucasfilm too. And you've got these shills and you've got these defenders of Disney Lucasfilm and The Last Jedi kind of wading in on social media, telling fans that are being vocal about it. oh, Disney Lucasfilm don't owe you anything, shut up. You know, they can make whatever they want, you don't get a say in it. And it's like, well, that's completely ignoring the fans who put the franchise where it is, who made it what it is, and will be nothing without it. You know, the franchise will be nothing without those people, and to lose those people is going to be a drastic event for the franchise. So, yes, Disney Lucasfilm do owe the fans. They do owe the fans, and that was the philosophy they had when they made The Force Awakens, because they desperately wanted to make it appeal to the fans they thought the franchise had lost through the prequels. They wanted to return it to that kind of original Star Wars magic again, and so much so they went as far as just recreating A New Hope, which was terrible. You know, when they can't just come up with an original idea, like, say, Timothy Zahn, amazing Star Wars novelist, did. And they just have to go back and kind of do a soft reboot, which is not good. So, you know, you can't really say that Disney Lucasfilm aren't trying to pander to the fans. And they are genuinely trying to pander to the fans in many ways. I mean, Rogue One proved that. Solo movie proved that. So it's obvious that Disney Lucasfilm think that they owe the fans because we wouldn't have what we had in Episode 7 otherwise. So those people on social media need to shut the hell up and get a clue about what's happening. Just to throw that one out there, if there's any of those individuals listening. The Old Republic mini-movie is something that's blown my mind in Star Wars for quite a few years now, and I don't know how many people out there haven't still seen the Old Republic mini-movie. If you haven't seen it, get online and check it out. Just type it in to YouTube, Old Republic mini-movie. It's like 70 minutes long or something. It is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen with a Star Wars title. Completely blew me away when I first saw it. I didn't expect to see it. It was released as 3 individual different trailers that were released chronologically in reverse. But if you watch it as a mini-movie, they play in the right order, as like a little film in itself. And my God, it is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Mind-blowing characters, mind-blowing CGI, still to this day, even though it was, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago now. And it blows anything that Disney Lucasfilm have made completely out of the water. And this was made by Lucasfilm, or LucasArts, pardon me, way before Disney got their hands on the franchise. And you'd think that Disney would come in and look at things that had been made before and think, oh, we could continue that because that's such a great project that's already underway, or oh, we've got to improve on that. They've set the bar that high. We need to make something new that improves on that. What were they thinking? Everything they've made since then has been way below par. It's been way below what was already being created by LucasArts and Lucasfilm before they took over. And the Old Republic mini-movie is incredible. It completely renews the franchise with amazing characters, new environments, new situations, ships, droids, everything. It was all new, but all very familiar still. And in that respect was way better than the prequels, but eons better than the sequel movies. And I just can't understand how they didn't see that and think, okay, maybe we should make that, maybe we should make that into a series, maybe we need to take that on board and use that as a milestone and make something better than that going further down the road. Moving forward, that's what we need to improve on. But it was like they completely ignored it, and they didn't even realise it was there. Like a lot of things in the expanded universe, I guess you could say, they came in and just ignored it all. They put it into the Legends category, ignored it, and moved on and did their own thing, which turned out to be a load of crap, as we know. But yeah, the Old Republic trailer, I have to mention that in this video because it's one of the best things that I've ever seen in Star Wars. Everyone needs to watch it. Everyone. Whether you're a fan of The Last Jedi or not. You know, whether you're a fan of new Star Wars or not, whether you hate anything other than the original trilogy, you need to see it, because my God, is it amazing. And I just wish we could have a movie series based on that, or a TV series based on that, with that quality CG as well. It would just be mind-blowing, you know, with the original guys that worked on that mini-movie. The characterization, even though we barely got to know the characters in it, the characterization in those characters, like Satel and Malgus and, you know, all the others. The Republic Commando guy, I'm not sure who he is. The droid even in there, you know. Oh, just mind-blowing. And there's not one thing I don't love about that mini-movie. It's just mind-blowingly good. And I'll always say that. I'll always say that. It's just one of the greatest Star Wars things I've ever seen in my life. And I'm very grateful to the makers of that piece of footage, that 3-part mini-movie, that to give us what they gave us. I'm just sad that it couldn't have continued after Disney took over. Where are all the aliens is another thing I want to mention. In Disney canon Star Wars, it's all about identity politics and humans and women and pushing those people and those sort of things to the front, and, you know, all about race and gender in the human race. But not once is it mentioned about alien races. In the original trilogy and even the prequels, it was full of alien races, and it was diverse and rich and different, and it looked incredible on the screen. You know, you'd seen all these amazing, scary alien races you'd never seen before that looked fantastic, and you just wanted to know more about them. Now it's just boring human crap and boring human issues with boring real-world Earth-like subjects that they've shoved in to Star Wars now. It's like, where are all the main alien characters? Well, we've got Chewbacca, who's now reduced to an Uber driver for Rey. You know, he's a pet dog now. And everyone else is human. You know, what the hell's going on? We've got Finn, who's token black guy in it. I mean, you know, where are more... If you want to have political correctness in it, where's all the other ethnicities, human ethnicities that are supposed to be in it? I'm not counting Rose. She's a crap character. She was written awfully. And Finn has just been reduced to a slapstick comedy character like Jar Jar. It's ridiculous. It's sad. It's disrespectful. And if you want diversity in your movies, then get it in there and be respectful to it, you know. But more important than anything, get the aliens in there. We want to see more of the aliens. Where are the Togrutas? Where are the Bith? You know, where are the Volvithman race? I'm not sure what. Deveronian race as well. Hutts. There's so many. Oh my God, we've had so few in the last few movies. Force Awakens did a fairly good job, but again, it was just mostly humans. It's tedious. We don't want to see that. It's not why we watch Star Wars. Get the alien races in there and get some crazy looking aliens in there. That's what we want. You know, it's Star Wars. We want to be taken away. We want to see things we've never seen before. We don't want to see just humans. You know, yeah, we want to see a few humans, possibly, so we can sort of say, oh look, there's my race on screen right there. But that's not what we watch Star Wars for. We watch Star Wars to see variation and fantastical ideas, and to be taken away and see things that we've never ever seen. So Disney Lucasfilm, sort it out. For God's sake, sort it out. What are you playing at? Get real diversity on the screen. Sullustans as well. My Sullustans are one of my favourite races. Neenum. Get them on the screen. We want to see more of them. Fan films and fan edits. The subject of fan films and fan edits. Now this is becoming a bit of a controversial subject, because thanks to what happened to Star Wars Theory, I'm kind of like doubting what's going to happen to anyone that wants to put their own content online now. I'm myself am writing an alternative episode 8, and I'm about 85 to 90% finished, and you know, I'm trying my hardest to finish it off and get it done, get it out there for people to read. But that's not all I'm going to do with it. I'm going to be doing voiceovers for the characters. I'm going to be putting incidental sound effects. I'm going to be putting the score, Star Wars score, in there as well. And as like an audio drama and uploading it in parts to YouTube. I want to make it a bit more of an experience than just an ebook fan fiction. I want to make it an experience. And where do creators, individual creators of fan movies and Star Wars properties lie with legality and Disney Lucasfilm now? You know, we don't want to be slapped with a lawsuit or get demonetized or get our accounts struck just because we've been enthusiastic enough to create our own material because we're not getting it from the powers that be. We don't want to have, you know, our livelihoods ruined or whatever because of some stupid copyright thing. You know, it's a grey area. We don't know where we stand. We don't know where to tread almost to avoid these pitfalls and and landmines, really legal landmines. So I'm worried about what I'm going to upload in the next few months regarding my own personally created fan material, and I think it's worrying really when you get something like what happened to Star Wars Theory, who had to jump through a lot of hoops to get made what he got made, and I don't know how many compromises he had to make before he got his film out there. When you've got something like that going on and then still getting claimed by Disney Lucasfilm because of what you've done, even though you've legally signed everything that you can possibly do to pass falling at those hurdles, then for the rest of us it's like, it's worrying. Getting our own thing out there, our own creation, really. But if anyone wants to elaborate on that or help me out with any information, like stick it in the comments, because I'd be happy to read it. But I think that's an important thing, and for anyone making, setting up a Star Wars channel and putting up videos out there and wanting to make their own, create their own content through passion and passion projects, I think it's an important subject, and it's something that's got to be covered. I read something in the week as well. I think it was in a tweet by somebody saying that fans' expectations of Star Wars are too high these days. Fans have too high expectations of what they get from these new movies, and it really annoys me and riles me, because why shouldn't we have high expectations? The franchise has come from the original trilogy, that set the bar, and it was incredible, mind-blowing. Even with its shortcomings and the things you can criticise it for, it's still incredible and utterly universally loved by everybody. Why shouldn't we expect that moving forwards? My philosophy is, if you can't make something that matches the quality of the original trilogy, just don't make it. Don't put it out there. Don't spend untold resources, time, energy, money, people's lives, on putting something out that's incredibly low standard, like Solo or The Last Jedi, and expect people to love it and eat it up the way they did the original trilogy. It's just not fair. It's not on. It's not fair to ask that of people, and you're just going to end up creating something that people don't want, and it's going to get left on the shop shelves, and it's not going to get bought, and it's going to get shoved in a landfill, and your company's going to go broke, and you're going to be forever wondering and asking, well, why didn't it happen? Why wasn't it successful? And it's just obvious. You've got to keep that standard up there. The standard of writing has got to be up there. I mean, what I'm writing in my fan book, I'm hoping, I'm no writer, I'm no novelist, but I'm hoping the standard is up there. I've read Timothy Zahn and Chuck Wendig's stuff. Timothy Zahn's incredible. Not as easily palatable, I suppose, as the original trilogy stuff. It's a lot more mature, but the quality of writing there and the quality of storytelling is fantastic. And that's the yardstick as far as I'm concerned. That's what I judge everything by. And Chuck Wendig's stuff, it's not great. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not great. But I listened to the audio of Chuck Wendig's books, read by Mark Thompson, who is incredible. Mark, if you're out there, shout to you, my man. You are an incredible voice actor, and I would love it if you read my book out, if you did the audio version of my book. Wow. Yeah, you're awesome. And you made Chuck Wendig's books shine, as far as I'm concerned. And, you know, what do we say about polishing certain things that can't be polished? You did an amazing job. But Timothy Zahn's books, you know, they're the pinnacle. And close second to those, of course, is the Dark Empire comic books, drawn by Cam Kennedy. Incredible, absolutely amazing story. If you haven't read the Dark Empire comics, fully advise you go and do it now, or get the audio dramatizations and listen to those, because wow, they are awesome. They're so good that when you're reading the panels of the comic, you're actually imagining it as a movie, with the movie sound effects in there and with the characters' voices, with the actors playing those roles. You're actually imagining it. It's that good. So I thoroughly recommend anyone that hasn't read them to go out and read the Dark Empire stories. Just wow, mind-blowing. Some of the best Star Wars stuff that's ever been created. Worthy of the original trilogy, same as Timothy Zahn's novels. Yeah, the whole thing about, you know, fans having high expectations, I think fans should, justifiably so, because Star Wars is like a great quality franchise. Why shouldn't fans have, you know, that expectation of having a fantastical movie whenever they go to the cinema? The MCU have done an incredible job with its highs and lows over the last 10 years of generally creating a universally successful franchise. No matter which character is on screen, no matter which number sequel it is of that character or of that series or of that group, they've done an incredible job, you know. And the strange thing is, thanks to Kevin Feige, obviously they've done an incredible job with making it a cohesive universe, but it's under the Disney banner, you know. You think Disney would make sure that a property as valuable and precious as Star Wars would have the same treatment, and they've screwed it, haven't they? How can they not have the same level of appreciation with the Star Wars franchise as they have with the Marvel franchise? I just don't understand it. Everyone goes to a Marvel movie with the expectations of a certain amount of quality, and as a whole, I think every single time we get that quality. And with Star Wars, my God, what has happened? What has happened? It's just an opposite situation, isn't it? So yeah, Disney needs to completely reevaluate the whole thing as far as the Star Wars movies go, in light of Marvel, and having something of great quality on the screen with every movie. We're giving them a lot of money. We've given them a lot of money over the years, and I think the people that have supported it need some kind of repayment, you know. If they still want to get our money, they want to keep us loyal, then they'll do what it takes. And Disney Lucasfilm, if you're listening, which I very much doubt you are, but if you are, that's something you seriously need to take on board. You need to reevaluate your output, and every Star Wars movie should mean quality when it goes into the cinema. And I'm not just talking about cinematography, I'm talking about from the ground up. I'm talking about right from the bare bones of the story. Rian Johnson is no writer, which he has declared himself on video. How the hell he was allowed to write that film, I have no idea, but he ruined it, and as an extension, ruined the franchise. So quality, we need it from all future items of Star Wars output, whether it's TV, whether it's movies, whether it's audio, whether it's books, comics, or whatever. That they need to pass a certain standard. So, you know, Disney Lucasfilm, get your act together, please. That whole thing about killing the past as well in The Last Jedi was atrocious, and it still riles me. Oh, you know, it's kind of like, no, forget the original trilogy, forget those movies, they don't matter anymore. You know, what matters now is what's happening here and now, and what's going to happen in the future, and these characters and these designs and this interpretation of the Force, and oh, that's dreadful. And the whole concept of kill the past is one of the worst philosophies that's ever been injected into Star Wars. And again, that's Rian Johnson's writing, probably with help from Kathleen Kennedy and the story group. It's just how anyone can get behind that and think think that line was a good idea, that philosophy is a good idea. I'll never grasp that. I'll never grasp it, and that's something that needs to be killed and buried as soon as possible. It's like saying those who forget history. I mean, do you remember the phrase, those who forget history are destined to repeat it, or doomed to repeat it? And saying kill the past is a complete affront to that. It's like forgetting, you know, what made something great in the first place. So of course then you're gonna be left with mediocrity and substandard output. If you forget the past, if you kill the past, then what are you left with? You know, you're not left with anything of quality to put down as a foundation to build off. So yeah, Kylo Ren, sit on it. And also the people that wrote your lines, do one. What else is there on the list? Why does Rey get to have all the convenient new Force powers? So, you know, in The Last Jedi, she could basically do anything and everything when it suited her. Like downloading her knowledge in the Force, becoming an expert marksman, shooting down 3 TIE fighters in one shot as soon as she arrives on Crate at the end of the movie. Suddenly defeating all of Snoke's crimson-dressed elite guards with expert swordsman moves when she's never had a day of sword training in her entire life. Everything that she can do is brought about from plot necessity. And again, it just comes down to terrible writing. But what a terrible character. You know, what a terrible character to have. That it's kind of almost like Superman, where it's just boring. Because you know they're going to survive by the end of the story. You know they're going to save the day. You know they're going to pull something out of their arse that fixes everything. It reminds me of Superman 4, was it? When Nuclear Man destroys the Great Wall of China, and then Superman just comes down and duplicates bricks with his eyes. It's like got a duplication vision just out of nowhere. It's like, when the hell did Superman get that power? You know, it's crazy. And it's the same thing with Rey. And going forward, she's going to continue to be the most tedious character ever, because they've had their chance to explain her powers and explain how she got to how she is and who she is and her backstory, and they completely ignored it all. So either J.J. Abrams is going to ignore, as I said, ignore episode 8 and include all that in episode 9, which is going to be ridiculous, isn't it, really? Let's face it. Or they're going to just continue to ignore it. Either way, it's going to look stupid now. And I honestly don't think they knew what they were doing right from the start. They didn't plan her out. They didn't think of the reasons behind that character. And she's supposed to be like the #1 front and centre character of the franchise now. She's supposed to be the new hero, the new focus of Star Wars, the face of Star Wars, even. Which I would have been on board with right from episode 7. You know, I thought she looked like a really interesting character. Really, I could have really got behind her, the way she looked, and you know, she had a great personality and she had a lot of potential. And then from what we got after that, oh my God, you know, everyone hates her now. Everyone hates Rey. There's not. If anyone posts a picture of Rey or references Rey in any way, they're just met with like this groan of apathy. No one wants to know anymore. Everyone hates the character because she's so boring and tedious, and she's not anywhere near what Luke was. You know, he fought for what he got. He went through hardships. He went through ups and downs and went through an incredible journey. and everyone was behind him, and everyone felt for him, and everyone just, you know, everyone was there sympathising with him in the audience. And you just see Rey on screen and you just sort of phase out. You know, you might as well just be looking at the background. When I was watching the film, by the end of the movie, I was seeing straight through her. Again, you know, I was just looking at the background. She just didn't exist on screen to me anymore. And this is supposed to be the #1 character of your franchise now. This is supposed to be the one that's carrying everything, the one that's got their face on all your merchandise. That's what you've done with that character. Terrible writing, terrible characterization, terrible handling generally of the franchise. And she can be fixed, but will they do that? I don't think so. I think Rey is like a personification of Kathleen Kennedy's self-image on screen. She's had a big hand in the creation of that character, and I think she's just pushing herself on screen, and making this unbeatable person that is flawless in every way, and, you know, is beating the patriarchy at their own game. And that's how she's been written, and ultimately it's ruining the whole franchise, and it's ruining Star Wars, and it's completely taking away from what makes Star Wars so special. And there's a fundamental reason for its failure right there. That's something that really, really needs to be addressed. I've said that one already. Rey was an interesting character in Episode 7. She had a lot of potential. The way that comics and books and the Star Wars franchise are now only used to fix the problems with the films. They're all second-rate media compared to the films. And what the films forget or are too lazy to do, it's up to the books and the comics and subsequent media to fill in the gaps for, which is terrible, really. You know, those extra bits of media should be out there creating new stories, new characters, and embellishing things that are already there, not fixing problems. I mean, what a waste that is. You know, if it's not on screen, it's not in the film originally, then it didn't happen, basically. The books and comics should only be there to add new characters and to add backstory, not to fix problems. Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams. Jesus. They are there to create extra media, you know, for people that want more than the movies, that want to then finish with the films and go and explore this character and that planet and that force power and where that plot thread goes that weren't necessarily explored in the movies. And it's been completely abused. Marvel and Disney and Lucasfilm are completely abusing their media, their extra media outside the movies. And we could have like an amazing franchise in the comics and books right now, and instead we're just getting this crap that's just being devised to fix problems. It's such a tragedy, it really is. When it was with Dark Horse, they were great custodians of the franchise in their comics. They made some incredible characters and incredible stories. Way, way better than anything that Disney, Marvel have done. So that's something that needs to be fixed. Definitely. At the end of The Last Jedi, I've got to mention how terrible the end of The Last Jedi was in many ways, but mainly because we didn't get the Luke payoff that we were all hoping for. Let's admit it. We let the movie play out all the way up to the end, thinking, Luke is this really boring, sad sack old hermit that, he's terrible. You know, he's just this miserable old guy. But we kind of know they're going to twist it around at the end, and he's going to come back fighting, and he's going to redeem himself, and he's going to be amazing, and they're going to have this incredible finale and a huge payoff at the end of the movie. Oh, what did we get? Oh, God, what did we get? What did we get? We got nothing, didn't we? That's what we got. We got nothing. Like Smack Talk said, he faded away like a hot fart. The beloved character that we've loved all our lives, and we've waited 30 plus years to return, faded away like a hot fart after achieving nothing in that story. Nothing. Nothing. What an FU to the fans that was. Huh. And I think a lot of people would have forgiven the movie all its shortcomings and still be on board with Star Wars now if we just had that Luke payoff at the end of the movie. But of course we can't have Luke having a payoff, can we? We can't have Luke being the hero. Because that's Rey's job. She has to be front and centre and saving the day and saving everyone's lives. You know, we can't have Luke coming in and taking over and being all OP, being all overpowered and destroying everything and vanquishing the bad guys because, you know, he's Luke Skywalker. He's super powerful. I mean, of course he's super powerful, for God's sake. He's Luke Skywalker. He's part of your franchise. If you want to have him in your franchise, then you've got to have him in your franchise. You don't just put him in the background. You've got to include him. You've got to use him. You've got to have him front and centre. Which is how I've written him, more or less, in the story that I'm writing. You know, I'm doing the character justice, or I'm trying to. And you can still feature that character and have him front and centre without having him overpowered and without having him dominating the story and overwriting everyone else. You know, there are certain ways to do it. There are clever ways of doing it. And you just have to be clever with it. You have to be smart. Don't just be dismissive of the character and throw them away and demean them just to elevate some other new, boring, hopeless character that no one has any interest in anymore. I could go on about that and I could get extremely angry about it, so I'm going to end that subject there. Doomcock. Overlord. Hail. We're all fans of Doomcock, aren't we? All of us. His channel's been great. It's been a beacon of light in the darkness of the fandom of many franchises over this last year. He's a great voice and online presence, and he's just going to get bigger and bigger. And on some of his live streams recently, I've seen people saying, well, I've seen him saying as well about let's create like a Doomcock Legion. Let's have masks out there. People wearing these masks, like V for Vendetta masks. And everyone out there enforcing this presence on the world and on social media and the fandom and geek culture in general. And so many people out there with those Doomcock masks on would be amazing. It would be phenomenal. Any kind of event, like especially like say Star Wars Celebration, would be the perfect opportunity to do it. Get legions of people out there that are all fans, thousands and thousands of people all walking around Star Wars Celebration wearing Doomcock masks, or even just like, you know, having a Doomcock mask hooked around their neck or on the top of their head or whatever, and occasionally pulling their mask down and getting together for group shots and for videos and you know, all showing their appreciation for the Fandom Menace. And Doomcock's fast becoming the face of the Fandom Menace, I think. His image is phenomenal. It's striking, it's memorable, and his voice is much needed, and he's having an effect. And I think we need those masks made, and I'm not sure how to do it, how to get them made en masse like that. But they're very, I should think they're pretty simple to make. They're just injection molding, and then just a bit of elastic tied around the back, and you just plop it on your head, maybe get a hood over the top, you know. But wow, wouldn't that be great? You know, loads of people wearing Doomcock masks just all over social media, really showing the presence of the Fandom Menace. But you know, at the moment, I've done my bit. I've managed to get an image of Doomcock out there. You know, without respect, we reject. And it's on my YouTube channel right now as my ident. That will change, you know, in a little while when I get my own one up there. But I just thought a good way to start it off is by having that one up there, and the more people that adopt it and use it, I think the bigger presence the Fandom Menace is going to have, and the bigger presence that the angry, pissed off, dejected fan base of many different franchises is going to have. And if it gets enough traction and gets enough presence online and throughout the world and through media, then the faster and better we're going to see things change, and change for the better as well, because our voices are going to be heard and we're going to be listened to, and we're not going to be able to be ignored and avoided. So yeah, Doomcock, you're doing good work, my friend. You're doing good work, Overlord. Keep it going. The boycott for Star Wars Episode 9. That's going to be a That's going to be a struggle. That's going to be, as I've said, it's going to be a trip to the top of that mountain. We've got to do it. Everyone has to boycott. Whether you go to see the film, just don't pay for a Star Wars ticket. Buy a ticket for, say, Jumanji or Cats or something else that's out at that same weekend, and walk across the aisle, walk into another screen where they're showing the Star Wars movie, and go and watch it in there. But do not pay. Do not buy a ticket. Do not give them your money, because it is rewarding bad behaviour. It is rewarding substandard product, which is what we've received from Disney Lucasfilm so far. No matter what trailer, no matter what juicy information and video they release to entice us with over this next year before that movie is released, we've got to stay fast. We've got to keep the boycott going. They've screwed the franchise with The Last Jedi, and by extension Episode 9. There's nothing they can do to bring it back until it's all retconned or ignored, or they move on to do more films afterwards or another trilogy and just completely ignore what's happened up till now. The boycott has to stand. The boycott has to stand. It has to overrule everything. You know, that has to be the main thing that people tweet. It has to be the main hashtag this year. Get that out there. Disney Lucasfilm, I'm sure they're aware of it, and they have to be made scared of it. They have to know what they've done is wrong and the damage they've done. And if they're going to go on to create more things for franchises, whether it's Disney Lucasfilm, whether it's the BBC, whether it's CBS, or whoever's the company that owns those particular franchises at that particular time, they all have to be made aware. You know, the fans are the ones that call the shots, not them. And the power is with the fandom. The power is with us and with our numbers. And we've got to make sure that boycott happens. Now, there are plenty of channels out there that that don't advocate boycotts. They're all against them, and I understand why, and I totally respect that completely. But as far as at least Star Wars goes, man, we've got to boycott it, because Episode 8 hurt bad in a lot of ways, and we've got to hurt them back for what they've done. And a boycott is the only way, and it shows what happened with Solo. Don't forget that. That was a direct result of the boycott and a direct result of what they did with The Last Jedi. And we can do it. So it goes to show that we can do it. But this time it's going to be on a much larger scale. And the shills and the defenders of Disney Lucasfilm and The Last Jedi are all going to be out there, and they're all going to be seeing the film as many times as possible to try and counteract what we're doing, but they can't match our numbers and they can't match our resolve. So we've got to keep it going. We've got to put it out there, and we've got to force it home. Episode 9 boycott, everybody. Seriously, that has to happen. We've got an extension of that item on the list, is that the fandom cannot be allowed to lapse into apathy like it was before The Last Jedi, and after, you know, when everyone was excited for The Last Jedi, and when that happened and it decimated the fandom, we can't let the fandom lapse back into that sort of self-allowing sense of comfort and apathy, where we just hope that Star Wars is going to be okay. Like, oh, but the trailer looked really good. I think they've saved Star Wars. I think it's back. Oh, I'm going to go and see it because I think it looks great, and I think they know what they're doing now, and they've learned from their mistakes. No, that trailer is going to be especially devised to fool everybody. And the trailer for Episode 8 for The Last Jedi fooled everybody. It was a complete con. And it lied to us. Completely lied to us. If they can do it with Episode 8, they'll do it with Episode 9. If they want to get us into the cinema, they're going to throw whatever imagery and nostalgia at us as they can to entice us back in there. And I don't want anyone to lapse back and start running back to the cinema going, take my money, I forgive you, all is forgiven. Just don't forget what they've done. Do not forget. You know, that boycott has to stand. Do not lapse back to how it was before Episode 8. Do not forget the wound they've inflicted on the franchise. on that 40-year-old franchise that stood the test of time up until they got their hands on it. So that's the message to everybody, is just, like Doomcock says, stay angry. Just remember what they did, you know, feel that burn and use it. And the last thing I've got on my list here is Star Wars games. Ever since Disney took over Lucasfilm, it's been a sad state of affairs. When they closed down LucasArts, it was one of the worst things that could have ever happened. LucasArts created some of the best games ever in my memory, and obviously the best Star Wars games ever, like with the X-Wing games, Knights of the Old Republic games, to mention just a few. I want those back. I want that quality back. I don't just want endless online multiplayer third or first person shooters, you know. It's tedious. I bought the first Battlefront game a few years ago. Actually, no, I didn't buy it. I played the demo and got bored with it because it was only half complete. And I never bought the game until the VR mission came out, the X-Wing VR mission, which was phenomenal. You know, I was so on board with that. One of the reasons why I got PlayStation VR was because of that demo alone. And it's very limited mission. You know, it doesn't last very long, but my God, is it a great experience. If you haven't played that on PSVR, you've got to do it. Find someone that's got a PlayStation and a PlayStation VR and play that game. Play that demo. That is the only reason why I own Star Wars Battlefront, is because of X-Wing VR mission. Why they didn't do that, why they didn't include VR in Battlefront 2, I will never know, but that's what made me completely avoid that game. There was no VR support. VR is like, to me it was the future, it still is. And it's still an incredible experience now. I enjoy that way more than playing ordinary video games. And that X-Wing VR mission, man, it just recaptured the magic of when LucasArts were at their height of making great games. The BioWare RPGs, Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, wow. Incredible storytelling, incredible writing, incredible characterization. Far, far, far better than anything Disney Lucasfilm have come up with since they got hold of the franchise. And again, utterly shames them. You know, BioWare, you guys rock. Seriously. Maybe not so much with the last Mass Effect game, which I didn't play, but, you know, let's see a return to that kind of output of incredible Star Wars games. They were mind-blowing. They were all mind-blowing. They were wonderful in every respect. I would love to see a point-and-click Star Wars game, you know, even if it's done in a 2D Monkey Island or Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis style, or Thimbleweed Park style kind of game. It would be incredible. You know, slow-paced point-and-click adventure game would be, a Star Wars game would be incredible. I think a Knights of the Old Republic 3, everyone would love. I would be at the front of the queue waiting for that game. I'm not a big RPG fan, but my God, did I love those two other games, and I desperately would love a third one. And what a way to get fans back on board is by making that game. And it doesn't necessarily have to follow the same gameplay mechanics as the previous games either. It can be something incredible and something new and original, and new gameplay mechanics like, you know, real-time action RPG instead of, you know, turn-based combat and stats and things like that. You can make it a bit more like, say, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, where you've got this massive open world environment and you use the environment and the things in it to play the game. But obviously based across numerous planets and flying something like the Ebon Hawk throughout the galaxy and going on adventures and going on missions. Another game I would desperately love to see is Han Solo Simulator. Now this is something someone I followed online, Mr. Paul Rose, the editor of one time Teletext magazine here in the UK, came up with the idea of Han Solo Simulator that we've never received. Something that, let's face it, everyone would want, everyone would love, everyone would play. Who hasn't wanted to be Han Solo at some point in their life, especially as a kid, you know? Everyone played as Han Solo. Lovable rogue, maverick guy, shooting his blaster off everywhere, gambling, you know, flying through asteroid fields in the Falcon, going on crazy adventures, trading, you know, throughout space and going to cantinas and rough, dark corners of the universe of you know, strange aliens and getting entangled in all kinds of criminal activity and avoiding the Empire. Oh my God, wouldn't it be an incredible experience, a game like that? Something like, say, Uncharted, but in space, which was, you know, one game that was originally going to be in development. What a great loss that game is, still to this day. I can't remember the name of it now, but 1313 was in development, and it was a shame that one didn't get continued. And then, of course, the Star Wars Uncharted type game didn't get continued, which is a great tragedy. But that's another game that everyone would love to see. They would make so much money. That is a license to print money. Oh my God, Lucasfilm, what are you doing? And another thing is also a continuation of X-Wing. We want X-Wing back, you know, like the X-Wing series, full-on flight simulator style games set in the Star Wars universe with today's graphics. How incredible would that be? You know, imagine on PS4 or an Xbox, on the PC, multiplayer dogfights, you know, set in the original trilogy, set in the prequel trilogy, set in the Clone Wars. Oh my God, absolutely incredible experience. You know, just take my money now, please. The idea of that being in a part of Rogue Squadron, or you know, the attack on the Death Star to save Yavin 4, you know, the attack on Hoth, and new, completely original missions and planets and things like that put in there in the mix too, but all done in a very amazing simulation style to make it feel like you're the pilot, you're the one in control of that technology, of those ships. You're the one that's turning the tide of battle and leading the fight, making you feel like you're the action hero, you're the #1 star of Star Wars, which is what we've all wanted. And lastly, the game that I've always wanted, and we have the technology to make now, and they're not doing it, is a full-on lightsaber game, like a Jedi Academy game, you know, where you're going from, say, a young Padawan, and you're going through the trials and the tribulations of learning the Force at the Jedi Academy. You're building your own lightsaber, and you're going through lightsaber training, using Force moves, you know, Force push and Force lightning if you want to use that, and learning to be a Jedi. Learning to be a fully fledged Jedi, and by the end of the game you're a fully fledged Jedi, and you have to take on, say, a member of the Sith, or you have to prove yourself in battle. It would be an incredible game and incredibly liberating, and come on, you know, and fulfilling everyone's desire and fantasies of wielding a lightsaber. You can imagine it in VR now, you know, just using that lightsaber to rebound, like, you know, blasts coming at you and fighting Sith and fighting other lightsaber wielders. What an amazing experience that would be in VR. And those are just a few ideas of this kind of games that could be being made right now that would just absolutely be a right to print money. And Disney Lucasfilm could be making so much more money right now if they just put their heads together and actually thought and used logic to handle their franchise, look at like it should be being held. And it's taking, I think it's going to take channels like this and like so many other huge channels that are out there now, and even smaller channels, to get the voices out there complaining and get them heard. And if there are enough people do it and enough of us do it, then we will be heard. So I'm encouraging every single person out there that hasn't already done it, hasn't already set up their own channel, just do it. Get videos up, get them out there. We'll all support each other, we'll all subscribe to each other, we'll all get each other to the point where we can be monetized. Some of us can make money out of it, some of us can use it to do further things like Star Wars Theory did, and he's putting that now into making his own movies, which is phenomenal. But we've all got to do it. I encourage everyone to just get a camera, set it up, sit down in front of it and speak your mind. You know, it's something we've all got to do. So that's the end of the video now anyway, guys. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Looking forward to getting your feedback. Looking forward to seeing some of your faces as well. And I'm hoping you don't mind seeing mine for the first time since I've become a friend of all of you online. And I hope it's okay to put a face to the name, Demonside Synthwave. I'll see you online, I'll see you on Twitter, I'll see you on social media, and I'll see you in the next video. It's been good, guys. I'll see you soon.